We are in the hallowed halls of iHeartMedia, broadcasting out of Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, I want to tell you about the newsletter Doug puts together each week. You can sign up for the newsletter at huntingfishing.com, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We got some stuff around the country and snakes. Why does it have to be snakes? Doug, take it away. What do you got, man?
All right, let's start off. Our featured story this week comes out of Wyoming, and a federal court has ruled against the crossing of public and BLM lands by way of private property so that hunters can move or fishermen can move in and about that territory up there. It's really interesting when I think about this, the way they've got this all branched out. If you look at our map, how do you move as a outdoorsman from one BLM property to another public property without crossing some of these private lands? Yet these private owners are just raising hell because people are trespassing on their land. Well, they're at the corner of these properties. How else are they going to do it?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. So I really kind of wonder. And by the way, this property in question up there is owned by the Iron Bar Holdings. I don't know if they're cattle or what they are. I have no idea. But this is insane the way our outdoors people are trying to are being hit. Let's put it that way. So just bring everyone's attention to this.
Yeah, there are some things that go on if any state, especially the western states, you click on any of the apps that are out there that will tell you what is state land, BLM land, federal land, whatever the case may be, versus private land, and it looks like a checkered picnic table cover.
Yeah.
You got this checkerboard stuff out here, and whoever did that, wow, they just need to be slapped for the problems that they created. And as sportsmen, as NGOs putting money on the ground for habitat and water enhancement, this kind of thing for wildlife, and even when we're having symbiotic relationships with, as you know, you've been there, you've met some of our our fellow ranchers. We put millions of dollars on the ground annually, and the only thing we ask from them is access. And those that go, well, no, we're not doing that. So, well, thank you for your time. You can just go pack sand. We're not going to help you. So,
I know.
We've got issues in Arizona, as I'm sure they have in this particular venue up around Elk Mountain and Walcott, so on and so forth. We have locked gates on access to federal lands, whether they be BLM, Forest Service, or whatever the case is. The ranchers, some of them, they decide, this is mine, so we're going to lock the gate. We're going to keep you guys out. And I get it. I get it. There are some, albeit a minority, that drive side-by-sides and SUVs or ATVs, UTVs, and those kinds of things that aren't respectful of the land, regardless of whose it is. They leave gates open. They tear up stuff. They're like doing donuts in riparian areas, and quite frankly, they just need a bullet and have their toys taken away from them. So, yeah, I get some of this.
This is a problem all throughout the West, Don. You know that.
Yep.
It's even an issue up on the Madison River in Wyoming, and I don't know how we solve this problem, but it's got to be something through the courts.
Well, we're trying to solve it in Arizona, especially with the. I don't want to get into a political discussion on the Biden administration, but Uh, Under the current guise of the Biden administration, uh, we have a congressman here in Arizona, District 4, that several years ago had an idea to turn federal lands back to the states. Well, initially, I didn't think that was a good idea for a number of reasons. Number one, fire suppression, firefighting budgets, and so on and so forth would basically break a state if we have a situation like we had, the past 3 years. We'd just be out of business fighting fires. So I'm tending to believe it's time to go back to Congressman Gosar's idea about taking the BLM land away as an example, turn it back over to the states, turn the law enforcement that BLM and those have for enforcement that they don't use. They misbehave with their budgets. The enforcement isn't out there. They're not taking care of the land per their mission statement, so take it away from them, give it back to the state. But that said, the state has to be in a financial position, a management position to take care of these lands. It's like in Arizona. Right. You've heard me say it before, and you're probably tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to say it once more. We only have one Sonoran Desert on the planet, man. That's us. It's right here. We're right in the middle of it. We have to take care of it. It's up to us. So, what's next?
Okay. We beat that up. Now, I had this in the newsletter last week. It's regarding the Mapland Act. And this is kind of a good thing. This has been now passed by the Senate, and it's sitting on the president's desk. God only knows if that'll happen or not. But essentially what this does is it brings the BLM, the Forest Service together, and the way they electronically digitize and provide to the public maps that are current for public and private and BLM lands. So that's a good thing in a lot of respects because now as an outdoorsman, you've got access to better information than you had before. Good thing.
Well, we had. I'm looking at your article, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'll give you my 2 cents worth, even though you didn't ask for it. Backcountry hunter and anglers is the voice of our wild public lands, waters, and wildlife. I'm calling just absolutely BS on those guys. They're green as gourds. They don't do what we do. They're a bunch of left-wing weenies, and they're in bed with the Theodore Roosevelt group. They're self-serving, self-promoting guys that want to be your voice. No, I don't need you to be my voice. And these backcountry hunter and anglers, that's a bunch of crap. So anything that they're right up there with the Sierra Club. If the Sierra Club wants it, the automatic answer is no, we're not going to do it because it's bad. They want everything turned into wilderness. They want wilderness. No, we have multi-use lands, and they don't understand that particular term. So I'm calling poo-poo on the Mapland Act.
I don't want to get off an edge, but I'll tell you what, you and I both know that what they're doing with these solar panel companies, which are just tearing up our landscape, is a direct opposite of what the Sierra Club and all the other NGOs proclaim that they want. Where are they when you want to lose 5,000 acres to solar panels?
These greenies, I'm telling you, Doug, they don't give a damn about anything except promote themselves. And
that's right.
They want wilderness. They want everybody else off the landscape except for them. Why? Because they suck down way too much Starbucks, and their Bergenstocks don't leave footprints.
I agree. Well, let's move on here. We'll talk about snakes here for a moment. Everyone loves snakes. Every year, same thing. When springtime comes around, there's all kinds of fish and game websites that come out with, hey, watch out for the snakes. Well, you know what? I'm sorry if you get bit. And in Utah, it's illegal to shoot a snake unless it's aggressively attacking you.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You know, but if you're out in snake country, number one, you ought to have snake boots on.
Yep.
For starters, and if you're not crazy about using the gun, I guess I'd have some bear spray or something like that. But at any rate, be careful. It's snake time.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, but this time of year, boy, I mean, you have to be ever so careful, especially early morning and early evening. These guys are, they're holed up in, rock piles, brush piles, bushes, this kind of thing. And for God's sake, you need to look where you're stepping and don't stick your hand in any place you can't see.
Yes,
you will
sir.
get bit.
Oh, yes, sir. And especially after the little snakes, the breeding, and these mamas have, you got these little foot-long rattlesnakes out there that just don't know what to do with their fangs except strike, strike, strike.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with them little guys, too. Oh, mercy sakes. I want to talk a little bit about early season river jigging for walleyes. Now, this hits an edge for me because I grew up on a walleye river back east in Ohio, and every spring for a good 20, 25 years, I'm out on that river fishing for walleye. It's an incredible event that goes on every year, and where I fished off of Lake Erie, there are other rivers just like that, especially up in Wisconsin, Minnesota areas as well. What we used up there, what you see on the screen, are what we used to call doll flies. And now they're called a deep V jig. Well, whoop-de-doo. I don't care what you call it. It's still a doll fly.
Yeah.
Any rate, there's a lot of good information about that. I've got articles on our website about fishing for Walleye River. Interesting conversation. Great fishing if you want to go out and wade. So there you go. I don't normally put this kind of information in the newsletter, but I thought it was kind of interesting under the guns and ammo category. There were over 31,000 people participating in the USA Clay Target League spring season this year. That blew me away. 31,000 plus people were out there to shoot clays. Great. I've done that, and it's fun to do. Kind of lastly in the newsletter, Don, I want to talk about the Department of Interior. Now, this is kind of a touchy subject, and I'm not focusing on what they're trying to do. It's the fact that the DOI is sticking their nose into this. What it is and they're focusing on Wisconsin right now, but there are 28 geographic features in Wisconsin that have what they call derogatory names.
Oh,
and a good example of that is where they're saying the term squaw is a derogatory term. Now,
yes,
okay, but it's been around since we've been a country.
We first heard it. We first heard that in 1492.
Yeah, exactly. But why the DOI has to get into this, I don't get it.
Doug,
I just don't get it.
It's cancel culture.
Well, it's Secretary Handlin. Don.
Yeah, she needs to be canceled.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
So, it's this left-wing scenario where they want to change everything that doesn't sound right to them, and change these over. They don't. The only one I know of is this term squaw. If you go to any of these links I have out there, they don't show any other terms on these links. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, let me put this into perspective for you. The good secretary,
you would.
Helen, she made history because she became the first Native American to serve as a cabinet secretary. And here we go. She is a member
Yeah.
of Pueblo Laguna, a fifth generation New Mexican lady. I don't have any problem with who people are, where they came from, what color they are. Yeah, I don't give a damn. But when you start trying to shove your stuff down my throat and I don't want to swallow it, you need to be spit out. And this is where I got to draw the line here. We can't have the Red Sox anymore. We're changing the name of basketball teams and football teams because of indigenous aborigines. It's not necessarily them that find it offensive. It's the white people on the left green side that want to change stuff.
Yeah.
Because they have a failed thought process. We did it here in Arizona quite some time ago. We had Squaw Peak. Well, it was changed to Piestewa Peak because of exactly what you're doing. I mean, we got some Democrats on the Phoenix Council. We're getting more and more and more, and they just they want to make this gosh darn place like California. No. It's like the Mexicans sneaking across the border to leave Mexico because they don't like it, but yet they come trash our town and make it look like downtown Nogales on the south side.
We have the same problem in where I live, down in St. George, Utah, where we have a college here called Dixie. And they want to change that name because it's obviously some kind of reference to the South and going back tons of years.
Yeah, you save your money, boys. The South is going to rise again. Uh-huh.
Well, and it's still a controversy. It's an issue. What a bunch of hogwash.
I'm telling you, Doug, it doesn't get any easier. This is America. And well,
last time I looked at my watch, it's America.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I think Waylon Jennings had a tune, something to the effect we're headed downhill like a snowball headed for hell. We got to get through the midterms, and we've got to get this done in 24. So,
yeah. Well, let's move on. Last item under products. There is now what they term a Fitbit for fish. Well, yeah, it's an electronic device that they can place inside the fish's skin that will track them in terms of their temperature, where they are, their depth. I mean, there's all kinds of little things they're collecting on these fish now. Again, this comes back to what is sporting fishing if you got a device that tells you exactly where these fish are.
Well, this is correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this necessarily dedicated to research?
Well, it is, and it isn't. You got to think along the broader picture here. Yeah, I agree. They're using it for research, but where do you think it's going to go from there?
Into the frying pan.
Well, yeah, that's good answer. Good answer. Anyway, Don, that's the newsletter for this week, unless there's something you want to chat about.
Okay, well, let me ask a question on this Fitbit for fish. How do you access the information? Can John Q. Fisherman access it with a phone app?
I don't have that answer because like you said, this is strictly right now research, but I know damn well, it's like trail cams. It's eventually going to go into your hands as an outdoorsman. You'll have access to this stuff at some point.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
It bothers me, like trail cams, that we're at a point in our outdoor adventures where, hell, we don't even have to leave the house hardly to know where we're going and how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, Don, that's our newsletter for the week.
All right, good job. And you guys can sign up for that. Does a great job. A lot of good information. Some of it controversial, and some of it's just kind of interesting, entertaining. So huntingfishing.com. Follow the prompts. You can sign up for that under the news icon.